Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed building video. So in today's video I'm building a tiny modern house, and I think I've only ever done one tiny house before, and it was a pink one, and I've really wanted to do a modern one. I've done modern ones before but just not on this channel, and so I decided for today's video I was going to do one, and I had so much fun doing them. I don't know what it is about tiny homes, but they're just really fun to try and figure out how to fit everything in, because obviously it's a really small space and you need to fit in a kitchen, somewhere to sleep, a lounging area, a bathroom. It's just a lot of fun. So for today's video I did this little tiny modern one. Now this is built on a 20 by 15 which is in Newcrest. I'm not completely sure on what the name of this lot is, but if you look in the top left corner now you'll be able to see it. So this house, I don't actually know the starting budget or anything like that, and I don't know which packs I used for it. All of the build details will be in the description box down below, like always, so you can see what packs I used and all that kind of stuff. I'm not actually sure if it will be that expensive as well, where it is such a small house. Before I have done really tiny modern houses, like I said, but they're just not on YouTube, and they actually turned out to be kind of like starter prices, but I'm not completely sure. I didn't look before I started doing this voiceover, but like I said, it will be in the description box down below. So you can kind of see the main structure of the house has come together now, and it's actually quite a simple concept. I just basically built a little square and then a little bump out on one side to kind of create like a little entrance into the house. And so I actually used these half walls as well leading up to at the front door, and I had a massive problem with them. For some reason the corner of the half walls, when I was doing these little squares, they were disappearing and they were kind of looking like someone's just took a chunk out of them, and you can kind of see I'm trying to redo them separately to the house to see if that makes any difference, and it didn't. So in the end I just used some get together columns and just kind of placed them where them little clip-ins were, and I actually really like this. I wasn't going to do this little kind of, I don't know what it's called, I'm trying to think of the word but I can't think of it, it's called, but I wasn't going to do that, but I'm actually really happy that I did, because I think it brings the house a lot more street appeal. It just looks a lot more nicer. And you can kind of see I've already started going in and doing the wallpapering. Now when I actually did this wallpapering, I really wanted to use this wallpaper that we have from, I believe it's Dine Out, but the only thing is when I got to the end I just didn't like it anymore, and the more I looked at it, it kind of just resembles more the Sims 3 style to me, because the Sims 3 is a little bit more alpha-y, and so that's just kind of what I get from this wallpaper. I do really like it, but I just didn't feel like it fits in, and I don't think I've ever used it really before, and that's probably because of that reason. So you will see me at the very end, I come back when I do the landscaping, because for some reason when I did this build I actually did the landscaping last, so I kind of built the structure of the house and then built the inside of the house, and then I came back, did the landscaping and did a little garden. But you will see me at the very end, I do change it to be a Get Famous wallpaper, I believe. But at the minute I am going around and just putting some windows into the house. So I wanted the house to be very light and bright, and I wanted a lot of just natural daylight to be able to come into the house. And so at first I really wanted something to give the windows some more texture, so I actually tried putting in some plain base game ones and then try and merge in some of the dividers that we have in the game, because we actually have a lot of dividers. We have some really nice ones from Get Famous, but sadly they're only on a shorter wall height. So in the end I just kind of stuck with these normal Get Famous ones, which I really like. They've still got a little bit of texture, so they're not completely a sheet of glass, which I really like. And I also used some other Get Famous windows in this house, so you can kind of see I'm already doing the bathroom now. And in the bathroom there's these really small little rectangular windows which I really like to use, but I can never actually put them into houses, but I put them in this house today as it is a very little small modern house. And I also use these in the kitchen. I believe I originally put 3 down, but then I think I changed it back to only having 2 in the kitchen. Like I said, I wanted a lot of daylight to come into this little home, because where it is such a small space, I just kind of felt like all of the natural daylight coming in would kind of make it feel a little bit bigger. The door that I also use is from Get Famous as well. I was going to use it in the same swatch as the windows, but I thought by using it in the grey swatch it would just kind of break up the colours a little bit more, so I just kind of settled on that one. And as you can kind of see, I've already done the bathroom and this little study area as you walk in. So the bathroom I use a Get Famous shower, and then I believe a Fitness Stuff sink and toilet, and then there isn't any bath in this house because it is a really small little house. I probably could have fitted one, because the shower does actually have an extra little tile next to it, and so I just decided to put the sink in. And then on the opposite side where there should have been, or there could have been a space for a bath or whatever, I just decided to put a plant. I do really like the baths that we have in the game, but I would really like a modern shower and bath combination. And where this house was a little modern house, I didn't want to kind of have this like normal kind of traditional looking shower and bath combination, so I just kind of settled for a shower and then just a plant in the extra space where there could have been something. And I also did do a little study area as you walk in through the front door. I kind of imagine the person that lives in this house is probably a writer or something, and I just wanted there to be a designated little study space or writing space, and so I just put it in as you walk in through the front door. And as you can already see, I've moved on and I'm already doing the kitchen. So in the kitchen I use all white furniture, so I used a white fridge, a white oven, and then white base game counters and cabinets. And I don't really often use these base game counters anymore. I did when the game first came out, but I just never find myself using them anymore. I also did add a little dining room area, so right in the middle of the whole house, because the actual middle area of it was quite big and quite bare, I decided to put the dining room table over there. So right in the center of kind of like the kitchen and then kind of like the bedroom, there is a dining room table. I believe the actual table itself is from base game, and then the chairs I use I believe are from City Living. And then I also just used a City Living plant just to kind of go on top of it and give it a little bit, an extra something basically. And now I'm moving on and just doing the little bed area. So over here I knew that I wanted the option, so if you wanted 2 Sims to live in this house rather than 1, I wanted to be able to cater for both Sims, and so I wanted to have a double bed, but I wasn't really sure how I wanted to do it. And so what I did is I actually placed the bed so there is half a tile each side, so your Sims can still get into bed and they can still do all the things that they want to do in the bed. And I actually just put a lamp one side and then this little bowling alley or bowling night, I'm never sure what that pack's called, but the bowling stuff pack little table on one side. And then I created this half wall, and I just kind of wanted it to be a little bit cornered off and sectioned off from the rest of the house. Even though it is a very open house and it's very open plan, it's basically all in one room apart from the bathroom, I still wanted it to feel like there was a separate little area. And so you actually see me in a bit, I'm going to pull out one of these kind of sculptures slash divider kind of things and try and merge it into the wall. I played around with it for a really long time trying to figure out how I wanted it to look and all that kind of stuff. Originally I really wanted them dividers that I used when I tried to use in the windows at the very front and the start of this build, but I couldn't actually make them work either because they were still only available on the small wall height, and even though I was raising them up they still wasn't fitting perfectly. And so in the end I believe I put some columns from Get Famous or maybe Get Together, I'm not completely sure where they're from, but I use these columns, thinking about it now I think they're actually the Get Famous ones, but I used them just to kind of section it off, and it kind of gives an illusion of an extra bedroom, but it's not a bedroom, and I just really like that. And you will see I did actually just clutter a load of shelves and a bookcase right above the bed where it is a small little area to live in, and I kind of feel like every space that there is you would try and use for some kind of purpose. So I put these shelves above the bed and also a bookcase. I don't think the bookcase you can actually use because it is very raised up, and I don't even think our Sims can go to that height, but I just wanted it because it looked like it was nice and cluttered, and so I used it. And then I also just cluttered a load of different types of objects, some sculptures and some books and some candles and all that kind of stuff on the shelves above, just to kind of look like it was a more lived in little area. Now you can kind of see I've just kind of gone back and I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do to try and section off this little bedroom area of the house. And I do, like I said, play around with it for a really long time and I can't figure out what I want to do. In the end, I do just use these kind of columns, and then I do actually try putting on some curtains onto the columns to try and make it look like you could pull the curtains when you wanted to go to bed. Maybe if there is a couple living in this house and one was on the computer and the other one wanted to go to bed, then you could probably just pull them, but it just didn't look very well, so I ended up straight off just deleting them ones. And you can kind of see I did try and move on to the lounge area, so I still wanted there to be a chest of drawers in this house because I wanted your Sims to be able to like change their outfit and all that kind of stuff. Even though there is also a full length mirror and then just a small little bathroom mirror, I still wanted one just because I like having them in my houses. And so what I actually did is I used it for the kind of cabinet below the TV area. I do go back to it in a minute, but when I was actually just doing that little TV lounge kind of area, I just kind of felt like the shelves needed to meet to the end of the wall, and so you kind of just saw that I went back to the little bedroom area and just kind of cluttered up the shelves a little bit more, added some more shelves to make it look like it was more extended. And now I'm just trying to figure out what I wanted to go just right above the bed. I really wanted to use these cool kitchen posters because they come in some really nice little modern swatches. But the only thing with them is once you actually size them down, you can't move them at all. You can't delete them or anything like that. And so I thought if you wanted to download this house and maybe you just wasn't a fan of them posters and you wanted to delete them, I just didn't want you to not be able to delete them. So in the end, I decided to get rid of them and just put this, I believe it's just a base game article looking poster. And like I said, I kind of envisioned that the person or people that live here are possibly writers, and so maybe it could be their first article or something. But now I am moving back and doing the little TV area, so you can kind of see this is the chest of drawers that I was talking about. So it is this city living one in this white and black swatch with these kind of like gold details on the handles and the legs. I believe it's gold on the legs anyway, but it's something like that. There's definitely some gold in there on the handles, and just above there I just clutter it with loads of different objects. So I put some plants and some picture frames and some books. I also did use that Lindsay / Alexis kind of thing that I spoke about in my last build, and then I also just put a little gaming console, and I wanted to add a rug in the little TV area to kind of break up the room as well, just like a similar kind of thing that I did with the bedroom area. I just kind of wanted it to feel like its own little space, and so I actually used this Get Famous rug, which I don't think I've ever used. I've always wanted to use it, but I've just never had the right place to use it. And basically with Get Famous we got a couple of rugs, and two of the rugs are very similar. So we have like a normal rectangular rug with all the same patterns as the one that I've used now, but the one that I've actually used in this build is a really small one, so you can actually merge it together and create your own rug. I've never been able to do it because I just don't really know how it looks, and I've never been happy when I've been trying to do it in the past, but I think it looks so cool in this little space because it's not a completely perfectly shaped rug, and it's kind of all these different rectangles and squares and stuff. I just thought it looked really, really cool in this little area, and so I just used it. And also just by the kitchen there was this little blank space, and so I decided to put a little keyboard in just because I still wanted there to be a ton to do in this house, and so I thought maybe the writer or writers could have some kind of interesting music, and so I just placed it in. I did also add a little pet bowl right next to the keyboard. Now I didn't actually put any kind of cat items or any other dog items in this build, but I just thought maybe if the sim or sims that live here could have a really small dog, then they could just possibly sleep on the sofa and then they have a little food bowl. Obviously if you don't want it you can delete it, but I just thought it was a little empty space, and I just thought I'd add it because it's something cute and it kind of brings a new member to the household. But now I'm moving back and just doing the outside, so I can't believe I actually did this last because I never do this last, I always do this first. But you can kind of see I'm just filling in them little blanks kind of where the windows are and just putting a half wall so it kind of looks more like a kind of cube kind of build. And in that space I just put these little base game hedges, which I really like, and I like that these ones are more modern. We have 2 sets of hedges in the game, I believe we might have more, but 2 proper sets, so like ones that you could use around a whole build, and I really like these ones because they're really, really nice and modern. I also tried to keep the landscaping very green, and I didn't want to add too many flowers into this house. I wanted it to be a very sleek looking modern house. I didn't want loads of crazy coloured flowers and stuff, so I tried to keep the flowers to a minimal. I believe I used some base game orange flowers here and there, but I don't think it goes that much further than that. I think I might also use another pink one, but it's a very muted pink as well, so it's not a massive change. We can kind of see I'm just changing up the wallpaper now, so this is kind of where I realised that I wasn't happy at all with it. At first I went for this grey swatch of this Get Famous wallpaper, but then I actually changed it to be kind of like a brownie swatch, which I think just breaks up the house so much more and just kind of brings it all together, and I just prefer it personally, and so I do just do that. I also did use some Strangerville plants in this house, so the way that you can access them is you have to go onto the debug menu, so you have to tap in bb.moveobjects and then you have all of the debug menu items in your game, so all of the items that are possibly around the world of Strangerville, so some of the plants, and then there's other stuff, so when your sims are cooking, all the frying pans and all that kind of crazy stuff. I'm sure most people know what the debug menu is, but I just thought I'd explain it anyway. And also, even though this is a really small little modern house, I still wanted there to be a garden in this house, so I was kind of thinking that the people that live here, or the person that lives here, like to throw a lot of parties, and so I created this really nice little modern back garden, which I absolutely love. It's more of a patio than a garden because there is no real grass, it's just completely kind of tiles, and there's no greenery in the garden, but I really like it, and I just wanted it to be kind of like a little bit of a party household for a sim if they would like. But as you can kind of see, I'm just creating this little pathway just leading it to the back garden, which I really love. I use this, I believe it's Get Together little terrain paint, which is one of my favorite ones. I just don't really ever typically tend to use it. But moving on to the back garden, so in the back garden I just create a nice little barbecue area for your sims to host some summer barbecues. I also add a jacuzzi or a hot tub into this build as well, because I always see jacuzzis or hot tubs to be more of a modern object than an object that you can just put into like a typical traditional family home. So I added one of them in. I also add a bar just in between the jacuzzi and the little dining area, so your sims can host them parties and have all them good times in this back garden. There is also a little seating area, and I do just add a little music station just to finish it off, so there's some nice little music playing when your sims are throwing a party or whatever they're doing. But anyway guys, I'm going to end this voiceover here. As always, I hope you enjoyed watching me build this tiny modern house, and as always, if you do like my content, then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speed building video. Bye guys.